The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello there, this is Todd Bugler. I'm hopeful that you can hear me and all's well and you're signed in with no problems or issues. I'm excited to have you here for this First Timers webinar for Extravaganza 2018. Lots of things to share with you and let you know about in terms of the event and what's coming up, and want to make sure we answer all your questions as well. Just a quick word about our goals for our time together today. And this webinar could be anywhere from 30 to 45 to maybe even 60 minutes. I doubt it'll take that long, but it kind of depends on how many questions that folks have that they would like to ask. But basically, our goal is to introduce you to the Extravaganza. I'm assuming all of you are first-time folks who have not been before. I know some folks have come back who've been before because they want to find out about this year's event, and they're welcome too. But we want to introduce you to the Extravaganza and the network that puts it on so you understand. This is more than just an event. By coming, you are a part of something much larger than yourself, something that's affecting the whole of the church and drawing us forward in community. We want to make you feel like you're a part of the community that's going to be gathering, and give you as much information as we can. We want to let you know what resources are available to you during the event. We want to answer any questions that you may have, and basically we want you to feel as prepared and confident and ready to go for the Extravaganza as you possibly can, coming up in just a few weeks. Hosts for our webinar today. My name is Todd Bugler. I am the Executive Director of the ELCA Youth Ministry Network. I've been blessed to be in that role for kind of a while now, and in addition to that, I also serve as a pastor at Trinity Lutheran Church in Owatonna, Minnesota, which is basically about an hour and 20 minutes straight south of downtown Minneapolis. Great little community, wonderful congregation I get to be a part of. Amy Wagner is actually not going to be on the webinar today. I believe she will be on Tuesday's version of the webinar, but she is the coach for the regional facilitators. And Amanda is on as well, and she was just signing on as we got going, and I don't see her name on the list yet, which means that she should be here in just a second, and when she does, we'll pause and introduce her as well. But she is one of our regional facilitators and serves in Illinois, and we're excited that she'll be a part of this as well. So yeah, thanks for being here, and thanks for being a part of this. A couple other things to let folks know about. You have an opportunity to ask questions as we go. On the screen that you have in front of you, you should have a little box that pops out. Your box will probably be smaller and have less information on it than this one on the screen does, because that's the administrative box. But somewhere on there is a little spot that you can type in questions. We encourage you to do that as we go. We'll try to answer questions as they come along, and you can type those in at any time, and we'll try to get to those questions. And again, we want to make sure that we get all the information to you that we possibly can. So just a quick word about the network and the origin of this whole thing that we call the Extravaganza. For folks that aren't familiar, the ELCA Youth Ministry Network is a group that formed in 1997. The goal was to create a culture of renewing education and networking in the church for those who work with children, youth, and family ministry in ELCA congregations. Basically, the short version of the story is that before the merger happened that formed the ELCA, the three predecessor church bodies that existed had 14 staff people working with children in youth ministry just deployed across the country. When the merger happened that formed the ELCA, that number dropped to 4. And since then, that number has continued to decrease, as you can imagine it might. There's been a lot of contraction in the church and budget cuts. There's now one full-time position in the ELCA dedicated to children's ministry, another part-time position for a part-time position for children's ministry, full-time for youth ministry, and I believe it's a full-time for young adults, and there's the ELCA youth gathering staff. But it's been a significant decrease in size over the course of the years. In 1995, groups of youth ministers across the country started meeting and having conversations, and realized these conversations were happening also in other spots around the country. And we realized that if we're going to continue to grow in our ministry, we're going to have to do that together. And so the network was formed. We pulled together for the first time for an event, just so we can get to know each other, and about 250 people gathered. We needed a spot that was super cheap, with cheap airfare and cheap hotel. The speakers all came and spoke for free. The musicians came on their own dime and played for free, just because everybody believed in getting this thing going, because we wanted it to be cheap. The event happened in Las Vegas at the Stratosphere Hotel. Yes, the network was birthed in Vegas. And marketing geniuses that we were at the time, the event, because we were at the Stratosphere Hotel, the event was called the Extravaganza. Yeah, I know, pretty cool, isn't it? And that was what it was called that first year. And then after that, the name Extravaganza stuck. So we've been doing this work since then. The idea still forming around renewal, education, and connection or networking. Right now, there's about 1,200 members of the ELCA Youth Ministry Network that form this group. It's an independent 501c3, separate from the ELCA church-wide offices, but yet working in close partnership with the ELCA church-wide offices and working to support them in their ministry with adults who work with children, youth, and families. Our mission statement is that we exist to strengthen and empower leaders of children, youth, and family ministry in service to Christ. That's what our goal is. Just a little more about the organization. Our future, what we're aiming for, is when faith formation with young people flourishes and becomes stronger, when adult leaders feel supported and encouraged, when resources are made available, and when ministry with young people is lifted up by every aspect of the church. That's what we see happening and what we're working towards and moving towards. Our values, we believe that faith formation for youth and adults is key to growth and relationship with Jesus Christ. Our adult ministry leaders are valued. It doesn't matter if you are ordained, a deacon, not on the ELCA roster, if you're a volunteer, if you're paid, whoever you are, there's a place for you in the network. Healthy and supported networked ministries are critical. We believe that the current and potential cultural and spiritual diversities of our communities is important. We welcome all people. We have professional relationships among adult youth ministry leaders. We value our partnership with ELCA, and our practices are informed by biblical and theological wisdom. Those are things that are critical to us. The network's leadership, there's over 100 people involved in some kind of leadership within the network. We have a board of directors of 7 people. The regional facilitators, one for each region, who serve as communicators. There's the Extravaganza planning team, which meets throughout the year to plan this event. The third Tuesday conversations are our monthly webinars. We have a team that works on that. The journal we put out 3 times a year. There's a team that works on that. We have the new initiative, Discipling Cohorts. We'll hear more about that in a bit. They've got about 8 or 10 people on their leadership team. There's a communications team, a multicultural initiative team that works on diversifying the membership of the network and inviting folks from all sorts of different backgrounds and ethnicities and such into our leadership. And then there's a few of us that are kind of in a staff role that help keep everything sort of moving forward. The ELCA is divided into 9 regions, so is the network in the exact same regions. It kind of outlines where they are and such. And as I mentioned, each region has a facilitator who's working in their area, trying to get both communication going back and forth, helping communicate the work of the network, also helping to communicate back to the network leadership the needs in the regions, and helping to facilitate local networking taking place. We've got 9 regions. This year now we're in transition. Those are elected roles. And so if you look down at Region 7, Abby has been serving there, but Kelsey will be moving into that role at the Extravaganza. Likewise, in Region 8, Sharon has been serving, and she actually just moved, took a new call in Nebraska, so left her region. So Pastor Dana Block-Hansen will be taking over her role in Region 8 as well. So it's been a great group to work with as well, and we're excited that they can be a part of everything. On the board of directors, I mentioned as well. That's the group that currently serves on our board. There are 7 plus myself that meet. This is us at last year's Extravaganza. Actually, a pre-meeting to the Extravaganza in Louisville. We had a great time and a great conversation there. Great meetings. So it was good. Yeah, it's a good group of leaders that meet and do lots of work together. Again, just a reminder, especially if I noticed that we've had some folks join the conversation here as we go, that if you have questions, we encourage you to enter those questions in on the right side of your screen in that little box. There's a question place that you can type your questions in, and then we will make a point of answering those questions during the course of the webinar. So now let's jump into just Extravaganza stuff and make sure that folks kind of know what's going on with that. Amanda is not yet on the call, might be having trouble getting logged in, so we'll just kind of keep moving forward on that. Amanda, if you're listening and you have, let's see here. Actually, she just sent me a text message that says trouble logging in to the webinar link. I'm trying. I'm going to quickly write back and tell her, make sure you use the link I sent her. And then we'll keep moving. Sorry to make you wait while I type this back to her. But I want to make sure that she gets in if she's able to. So there we go. Okay, so moving on with other important information about the actual extravaganza itself. Let's see, here we go. The extravaganza itself, what is it? It is an event, a 4-day event. Approximately 1,000 people will be participating. Happens every year in a different city around the country. We try to move it around east, west, central, so that it gets split up. It also depends, though, on costs and how much money different cities cost and all that kind of stuff. And so it's not always working out quite that way, but it's our general hope to. Every third year, we try, if we can, to have the extravaganza be in the city where the youth gathering is going to be, because we know that a lot of adult leaders would really like to see the city where the gathering is going to be held. And so this is one of those years. On that year, our numbers tend to spike up. I think we've been around 700, 750 in past years. I think this year, as of yesterday I looked, we were at like 935 registered for the E. So we're excited for that. Lots of good energy that'll be in that room. We think of it as the premier renewal education and networking event for our church. And all who share in this ministry that we do. We try to bring together lots of different kinds of resources and lots of different kinds of opportunities from different perspectives. You'll find in the church is a lot of folks, there's organizations that come with one particular model in mind or one particular idea for how ministry should happen. At the extravaganza, we try to bring all those people together, and these ideas can intermix and mingle with each other. We think people working in congregations have the ability to look at these and see, okay, this piece works well from this provider, this works well for us, but so does this other piece, and we can mix those together. Context is everything, and so we want it to work within your context. That's kind of one of our goals in drawing this together. The event is about 3 things, as I mentioned before, with the network, renewal, education, and connection. Those are our values. This event is the church. It's us being together as a spiritual community. It's not just a continuing education event. There is worship that is central to everything that we do. We'll gather at the table. We will experience the Eucharist together. We will worship together. We will sing together. And throughout the community and the conversations, we'll experience in new ways, dynamic ways, the love and grace of God. There are people that come to Extravaganza every year who say that this is a time that they can really set aside a lot of their angst about congregational stuff and just be able to worship freely. I mean, you know how it is in a congregation when you go to worship and you see people and you're like, oh, I got to talk to them. I got to talk to them. I got to make sure I talk to that person. There's so-and-so, whatever. This is a chance just for you to be and be in the presence of God. So renewal is critical to what we do. It's about education. There's really two different ways that happens. Large group sessions that happen in the ballroom when everybody's together, all 1,000 of us, and there's music and there's worship and all those kinds of things. There are also speakers. Um, the way we really design it is that the speakers who are on the main stage, they're not talking about the nuts and bolts of ministry with children and youth. They are talking about heart issues. They're kind of getting at the heart of ministry. They're trying to figure out and talk about how we can be fully present with God while walking and stepping into the lives of young people and families. And so it's much more of a heart talk. The workshop sessions, and there's tons of those, are much more nuts and bolts. That's the skills and the tactics. They include a lot of things that you can make use of right away in your ministry. If there are ideas or questions or things you wonder about, the odds are pretty good there's a workshop that will help you step into that and figure that out. The extravaganza is also about connection. You are not alone in ministry, ever, and you're certainly not alone at this event. Now, occasionally, to be honest, I'll hear people in the evaluations, or people will talk to me afterwards and say, God, I feel like I didn't connect, I felt alone. I have a hard time imagining how that's possible, because there's so many people around that want to connect. Sometimes, I'll admit, you walk into the extravaganza and it feels like you're stepping into someone else's family reunion, because a lot of these folks, we've been working together and know each other for a long time, and so you'll see a lot of people coming up and hugging. It's the first time they've seen each other since the last extravaganza in a year, and there's a lot of friendships that are made there. That is a gift that we want to celebrate, and we want everyone to experience that sense of welcome. So if you, hopefully nobody steps away from the extravaganza without making those kinds of collegial, cooperative, collaborative working relationships. We want to be together in ministry, and I encourage you to enter into those conversations, or to allow yourself to be drawn into those conversations by someone else. There's lots of opportunities to do that. We'll talk more about those opportunities in just a minute here. But really, to sit and to ask somebody, what's working for you? To be honest, I got a long list of things that don't work. I have a few things that do. Let's share those things. We can learn from each other. And what brings you joy in your ministry? These are conversations we want folks to engage in during the course of the event. The Hyatt Regency Houston will be our home for the week. It's a great hotel. A little quirky, a little different kind of space for us that we're kind of used to. It's one of the hotels that has the tall, I think, 40-story center atrium area, and then the rooms all surround it. So if you're scared of heights, I'd ask for a lower floor if you can get one. but it's a very fun hotel as well. It's right in the heart of Houston, within walking distance to lots of restaurants. It's actually connected to an underground tunnel system, and across the street, through the tunnels, is a food court with lots of different kinds of food options, everything from small barbecue places to Chick-fil-A to McDonald's, to you name it. Now, not all those places are going to be open all the time. It's a business district, and so I think on Saturday, Sunday, their hours are a little bit limited, but there'll be plenty of food around. I wouldn't worry about that. But it's just nice to have that option really close by as well. There's lots of cultural sites around. It's close to, just a block away from, I think, Houston's light rail system, which is a good way to get around town. The hotel itself has free Wi-Fi internet access, which is awesome and doesn't always happen in a hotel, so we're glad for that as well. As far as other items we want to touch base on, transportation, getting there, is a question people always have for us. How do you get from the airport to the hotel? Now, there's two different airports, major airports in Houston. The city is so big and spread out. It could be either Bush or Hobby Airport. Bush is the larger international airport. Hobby is the smaller one. But I think Southwest flies into Hobby, so a lot of people come in there as well. We have a discount worked out with Super Shuttle for both airports. If you go to our travel discounts page, you'll see aynet.org/travel discounts. You can click there, and if you register for a ride on our page, I think there's a 10% discount off the price. On Super Shuttle, it might be the kind of thing that comes directly to the hotel, or it might be that it stops at one or two other hotels on kind of a route before it gets to us. But it's fairly affordable, and actually quite affordable, and a good way of getting to the hotel. You can do cabs as well coming in. It can be about $50. However, actually, if you've got 4 people or 3 people, you're coming in a group, or you connect with other people, you might find that it's actually cheaper per person to share a cab than even taking the super shuttle or an Uber or something like that. So that is also a pretty worthwhile way if you got folks. And sometimes, you can spot other youth workers. It's just sort of the way it is. And if you ask somebody, are you going to the Extravaganza? Hey, interested in sharing a cab? That would be a way of connecting with each other as well. Of course, Uber and Lyft both operate. I've taken Uber from George Bush Airport to the hotel a few different occasions, and I want to say it's probably about a 20-25 minute drive. I think Hobby's a little farther away, maybe 30 to 40 minutes. It depends on traffic. Houston has some issues with traffic, to be honest, and so that's one of the things that they take into account. And then the hotel does have, if you're driving in discounted parking, $22 per day with in and out privileges. I know people look at that and say, $22 a day? Yeah, that's what it is when you're in a downtown hotel. It just kind of is what it is. That's one of the things we have to sort of factor into the event and such. I'm actually just going to press that little button because I want to make sure that there's questions coming in. It looks like Amanda is in, and and Amanda's got questions. So Amanda, actually, I think you're signed in as a user. I'm looking here on my list. Yep, there you are. So I'm going to unmute that. See if I can do that. Amanda, are you there? Hello? Amanda? Amanda? We are unable to hear you. So I'm just going to continue. If you get your microphone figured out, Amanda, and can jump in, that would be great. Looking at some of these other questions here that have come in, I'm going to quick, let's see here. Emmanuel asked, does the Hyatt not provide shuttle service from airport to hotel? The Hyatt itself does not have a shuttle, no. There's enough third-party providers that they don't need to do that. And so they do have shuttles that can run around downtown Houston. As a matter of fact, when I was there with our board of directors at our fall meeting, I think it was raining one night, and we wanted to go to a restaurant that was about 6 blocks away, and so they gave us a free shuttle ride over to the restaurant. It was great, and by the time the meal had ended, it was not raining, so we had a pleasant walk back as well. So, but no, the Hyatt does not have an airport shuttle itself. Great question. Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. All right, so another question just popped in. What's the latest you can book reservations for the shuttle? That's a good question. I think you can actually do it up until the day of the shuttle itself. You probably don't want to wait too long. I know they do have shuttles that fill, and there's times that it'll say, if you want to book if you're landing at 2 and you want to get on a 2:30 shuttle, figuring time to get baggage or whatever, it could be that 2:30 is full, and they might say, great, you can take a shuttle, but you have to wait till 3 or 3:30 or something like that. So I think you can book almost up to the event itself, but the closer you get, the harder it is to guarantee availability. So hope that answers that question. Let's keep going with the other stuff that we're going to talk through. When you arrive, first thing I would do is actually check into the hotel, into your room. Of course, they will have a check-in time. I don't remember off the top of my head what that is, but it's basically when your room is ready from the previous group. There will be a convention that's in ahead of us, so there will be a lot of people checking out the day that we're checking in, or the day prior to that. So it could be there's a little delay before you can get into your room, but that's okay. There's lots of opportunities to you can check your bag and lots of things to do and see. And actually, if you're coming in on Friday, we've got early bird workshops and things like that you can check into and be a part of as well. You can check out the exhibit hall as well. Actually, we have 2 exhibit halls, 2 different spaces, because the exhibit hall is so large, we had to divide it up. They didn't have space that was big enough. You can go through the program book once you get registered and start picking out workshops that you want to see. You can catch up on a little sleep. You can visit with friends. It's a it's actually kind of a nice time when you get there, just to sort of chill out a little bit and get organized. But you'll want to check in first at the lobby for your room, and then you can head upstairs on the third level, and it's called the Imperial Atrium, just outside the main ballroom, is where our registration tables are going to be and our hospitality tables. Go up there. You can get checked in for the event, get your name badge, get your program book, any other materials that we have to distribute, and get all that information right there. Then, as far as connecting with um, the schedule and all that kind of stuff, much of that information is actually available online now. If you go to elcaymnet.org/schedule, the whole event schedule is there. That is the live version. So any changes that take place, we put them into that online schedule. There will be a printed schedule in the program book as well, but any changes that happen will be made live on the schedule. We'll also tweet those and put it on social media so people know. The other thing we really encourage you to do is to get the network app. We have an app as well. If you go to elcaymnet.org/app, you can download it either for Android or for Apple operating systems. You can download it on there, and that's actually there right now. This whole schedule is on the app, and that actually links. When you click on that particular link, it actually opens the live schedule on the website. Again, that way, there's only one spot that we have to worry about updating. It's always up to date. It's always ready to go. But the schedule there, you can look and see everything that's going on. We will have, hopefully, in the next few days as well, we'll have the workshop schedule on the app. Now, the workshop schedule will not be printed in the program book. The listing of workshops and the presenters, that's all in there. But what time they're happening and what room they're happening in, what we've discovered is that's a little fluid, and so when we've printed it in the book in the past, we've usually had to make so many changes or corrections because some workshop leaders coming in and their flight gets delayed, or we discover that a workshop's that we're anticipating is going to have 50 people is actually going to have 100 people, so we have to move to a different room, or whatever it might be. There's different things that happen, so the schedule changes. We will have that schedule also on the website and also on the app as well. That'll always be live. We'll also have a few printed copies, but not too many, because we don't want to waste paper. We're trying to be green with this event, as green as we can, but we'll have those at the hospitality desk, and then we'll have a TV monitor or two around that has the schedule on it as well, so people can see what's going on and what will be coming up. So that's the information on the app, and again, the schedule itself is all online right now as we go. So you can check with that. As far as other places to connect and get involved, we are doing an orientation tour on Friday at 4:30 for folks who are first-timers to the event. I believe it's starting in the Regency Ballroom, which is a room up, I think, on the same level as the main ballroom. And then and what we'll do there, we'll do a little welcome, some introductions, some information, and then we're going to break folks down by regions so they connect with other people from their region and they meet their regional facilitator, and we're going to launch these regional groups out around the hotel and take a little tour. You're going to get a backstage tour of the main ballroom. You're going to see where all the workshops are, see where the exhibit halls are, see where the food is, see all the different stuff that you need to see. So that's all good. I just got a note here that Amanda is calling in this time. Let's give this another try and see. Amanda, are you there? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me this time?
Oh, we've got you. You're there.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, welcome to the webinar. So glad. Sorry for the tech problems that you're having. Amanda is the regional facilitator for Region 5. Is that correct, Amanda?
Yes, it is.
All right. So I just give a quick introduction, who you are in life and all that kind of stuff.
My name is Amanda Shands. I am, as Todd said, Region 5 regional facilitator. That means it's Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, and UP. I work in a church called First Lutheran Church in Prophetstown, Illinois. I am the Youth and Family Ministries Director there.
Awesome. Thank you. And we're glad that you're here. Let's just finish these these logistical pieces, and then I got a couple questions to bounce off of you, Amanda, if that's okay.
Okay.
Perfect. So I talked about that orientation tour Friday at 4:30. So if you might want to put that on your calendar. The first timers dinner is Friday at 5:30. Basically, anybody who wants, it's at that orientation tour. You're all going to go out to dinner together. Just we'll have a reservation, a group reservation at a local restaurant. It's a good chance to connect, build relationships. You don't have to go, but you're welcome to go. It is not free. You will pay for that. I mean, we'll do that on site. It's not an included kind of a thing, but it's just a good chance to connect. Regional touch points, that happens on Saturday at 11:30, and that's just, I think, a 45-minute gathering where we're going to have different regions gather together, and then any announcements, information, things that are regional that people want to make or let people know about or just connect with each other, that happens there. So you'll want to make a note of that in your schedule. It's a good chance just to connect with everybody else from your area. And then, of course, with the workshops themselves, there's lots of different gatherings. Synods are doing lunch gatherings on Sunday, meeting in the lobby and then going off site. So you can check and see if your synod is doing a lunch. And you can go on to the schedule page, again, elcaymnet.org/schedule. And on the right-hand column, all those synodical lunches are listed. I think, actually, on the mobile app, it's when you scroll to the bottom that you see them. But I think online on the website, they're on the right-hand column. The exhibit hall itself, I mentioned, and the hospitality table. Hospitality table is a great resource. If you are looking to connect with somebody, if you have a question, if there's something you're wondering about, something you're not sure about, if you lost your phone, if you need to charge a phone, if you are just want to try to find somebody maybe even to go have lunch with, stop at the hospitality table. Again, it's outside that Imperial Ballroom, and then you'll get connected there with stuff that you need to connect with. I'm going to jump quick over to Amanda. We're actually almost at the end of the presentation part. Again, if you have other questions, I really encourage you to type them in the question box. Amanda, so how many extravaganzas have you been to?
This will be my third.
Excellent. Do you want to just talk a little bit about, so think back to your first year, what it was like coming into the extravaganza and how that all went and how you connected?
Yeah, my first extravaganza was in Detroit. So it was another gathering year, very exciting. It was really amazing. I was able to be with some people that I knew from my area, so that helped. But I will say that it was a lot of fun to be able to sit at different tables and talk to people, find different people to eat lunch or dinner with. There was a lot of opportunities in the workshops even themselves to connect with others. I will say our regional touch point did help connect me to people from our region specifically. That was nice to be able to see people who were around us and that kind of thing. So it was very exciting. It was a little confusing. We were in the Death Star.
That was a crazy hotel.
That hotel itself was a little nuts, but it was a lot of fun trying to figure it out. So I will say any questions we had, that hospitality desk was able to answer or find an answer. And yeah, definitely, use that if you need it.
Mm-hmm. It's good stuff there. Any other advice for somebody coming in for the first time?
I would say make sure you look over the schedule carefully so that you can see what's going on when, so you can kind of plan your days accordingly. Look over the workshop schedule very carefully, because there's a lot of really great things that are going to be offered. And if you are coming with someone that you know, try to schedule different workshops that you go to so you can share more information that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good piece. I've come before with actually a couple different people from a congregation I was serving in, and we made a point of dividing and conquering workshops. We're like, some were, okay, this is one that we really want to all go to together so we can talk about it, but there were others where it was like, okay, you go to this one, I'll go to this one, we'll compare notes later. So that's really good advice. Excellent. I'd also look through, I mentioned, the Synod lunches. There's also some different receptions that happen. I know that for folks that are coming in Thursday for intensive care courses, like there's a reception that night that'll have a little snacky food at it. On Friday night, we do a reception with everybody that's got snacky food at it, which is fun. There's Sunday night dinner. We'll do a banquet dinner that's included in the cost of the event, so don't plan on going out to dinner for a Sunday night. That's a really a fun time as well. So there's different spots during the course of the event. We're going to have food, some pastries and some coffee up in the exhibit areas as well in the mornings. People can go down there and check those out and grab something off of there as well. We want to, we know that the extravaganza is an investment for your congregations to get people there, and we want to be as respectful of the cost as we possibly can. As it is, the cost of the event, the amount that people pay, winds up being about 2/3 of what it actually costs to do the event, and then we fundraise ourselves. We do grants and other pieces to try to pay off that balance. So we try to be really careful with money and want to make it as much of a value as we can. So we'll have some different food options and things for folks as well from time to time. But again, not every meal, and there's lots of options right around the hotel itself. Another piece I want to just touch base on and really strongly encourage people to connect with is something that's launching new this year that we're doing called the Discipling Cohorts Initiative. We're very excited about this. It's going to launch at E18, and we're basically, the Networks Board created a strategic plan to try to strengthen ministries across the board in all of our congregations. We want all of our folks to develop a personal plan for how they're going to develop in their leadership, in their faith, in their vocational confidence, an individualized plan, and we're going to create those together in cohorts, small groups, with a trained peer coach leading each cohort. And we're going to launch this year. We've already got close to 100 people signed up to be a part of a cohort. They're going to meet for the first time at the E on Sundays. There's a time slot, and you'll be assigned to a peer group, and then that group will meet. And then during the course of the year, either face-to-face or online, we'll have meetings during the year, meet monthly to have these conversations. There's a plan, kind of a curriculum that we're going to work through together, with the idea that at the end of the year, everybody will be able to have created this plan. They'll be able to present that, and then we actually will have an online way of entering the plan and helping to try to help people stay accountable to their plan as well. I've always made lots of plans, and when there's not an accountability system, it's easy to let that drop. So we really want to invite people to participate in that. The best part is, because of a generous grant from the ELCA, who really believes in this project, there's no cost for participating in a Discipling Cohorts initiative. It's just going to be a project that you can do and participate in at no cost. So when you talk to your council about what a great event it is, this is one of those things you can also say, and not only was it the event, but it's a whole year of support and renewal and connecting that'll follow the E, and a whole peer group and a group of friends that you will connect with as well. You can go to disciplingcohorts.org and you can sign up to be a part of a cohort. You can still do that. We'll actually take signups even up to the event itself. We have more room, so we want to let people into that. It's going to be great, and I think really important as well. Got another question that just came in. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's a great question. I pre-registered for the first timers dinner, and there's a charge on the invoice for that. You mentioned a cost for the dinner. Is that additional if I'm already pre-registered? No, I'm sorry. I misspoke when I said that. That was Valerie asked that question. Thank you, Valerie. If you pre-registered, then your cost is covered. It's already included. So, and if you haven't pre-registered and you'd like to, unfortunately, our online system, you can't go back in and edit your registration. That's hopefully a feature that'll come next year. But if you email our registrar, Lori Hoyam, who's fantastic, and her email is just registrar@elcaymnet.org. She will, you can add that into your invoice as well. That'd be the simplest way to do it. Great question, Valerie. Thank you so much for catching that. Almost to the end here. Both at the event and before the event, we encourage you to stay connected to the extravaganza on Twitter. The network has a Twitter account, ELCAYMNet, and you can follow, if you choose, #EXT18 as we go. People will be making comments as they travel. People will be making comments as they arrive. People will be making comments. We encourage you to follow those. And also, it's a great place to post questions. We'll be monitoring it during the event. And if something comes up or there's an issue or a question and you tweet that, we'll try to tend to that as soon as we can. Also, our Facebook group, we encourage people strongly to participate in our Facebook group, both for the event, but also just in terms of ministry. It's a great place to stay connected and to stay knowing about what's going on and new things that are happening and new resources that are being made available. We are just about at the end of our time. I'm going to give it another minute or two for people to type in more questions if they need to. Amanda, in the meantime, are there any other comments, questions, bad jokes, things like that you'd like to share?
Well, one thing I thought of is, and I'm not sure if you really covered it or not because there was a small piece that I missed, but the vendors and all of the companies and camps and things that are going to be part of the vendor fair, that is a really great place for resources. Mm-hmm. I've gotten so many good ideas, contacts, things like that. So make sure you spend some time in that area, or maybe even a couple of free moments that you have, because you maybe won't get all of them at once. But there's so many great people to talk to there also. So that would be a really good time, especially for first timers. Yep. You can really see what kind of things are available for us. So
mm-hmm. That's a great comment. There's actually, I think we've got this year 60 or 70 different resource providers or vendors who will be at the Extravaganza with a table. Everything from, faith incubators and Vibrant Faith and those kind of resource providers, to seminaries, to colleges, to a guy who comes and he sells handmade olive wood crosses and handmade stoles and things like that. It's really an interesting mix and a lot of really good resources. And they come, and to be honest, they come because they want to share their resources. They don't make a lot of money being at the event. I mean, it's an expense for them and they hope to be able to break even. But they come because they care about our ministry and they want to be a part of that. One other question that just came in, someone asked, how is the gathering tour going to work? That's a great question as well. I'll give you as much information as I possibly can. There's actually two different tours, just to be clear. One is if people signed up for the youth gathering, you'll see a youth gathering intensive care course. That group is going to do a tour, I believe, on Thursday. That's going to take them to different sites for the gathering, and they're going to do that alongside the gathering SID coordinators who will be at the event doing their training before the extravaganza starts. So that's a closed tour just to those groups, intensive care course people and the SID coordinators. And so if you're signed up for one of that intensive care course, or you are a SID coordinator, you're covered for seeing the tour. Then on Saturday, there will be a general tour that's for anybody. And the registration is closed for that. At this point, we had, I think, 320 people, which was our maximum with the number of bus seats and the number of groups that we could get through the sites. So it's actually almost a third of the extravaganza will be on that tour. And we're going to meet in one of the ballrooms, get organized there, break into bus groups, and then those tours will be led by members of the gathering staff or gathering team leaders who will take to different gathering sites. It'll take pretty much the entire afternoon on Saturday and be back, I think, just at dinner time or somewhere in that vicinity for a quick debrief, and then for to scatter to go get dinner and then head to the next extravaganza piece. Like I said, it is full. Now there are some, I've been talking to our registrar, and there's been some, there's a waiting list, and there's been some people have had to cancel because some folks didn't realize that they were in the intensive care course. They didn't need to do this tour. So a few spots have opened up here and there. I would suggest that if you're not on that tour and you'd like to be, that you talk to our registrar, Lori Hoyam, when you check in, and she'll make sure you're on a list. And if a spot opens up, we'll be glad to try to slide you into that. We want as many people to experience that as possible. So great question. Thank you. Those are all the questions that have come in. If other things come up, again, you can tweet your questions with the hashtag EXT18. You could also email me directly. My email address is Todd, T-O-D-D, at elcayMnet.org. Thanks so much. This webinar is being recorded. Will be online as well. We're also repeating this webinar live on Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. So if you know folks that weren't able to be a part of the webinar today, that's a spot that you can go. I encourage them to go, and they can also participate. Any other questions, just let us know. Take care. God bless, and have a safe journey to Houston, and we're really looking forward to seeing you at Extravaganza 18. Bye-bye.